All right, guys, I'm going to show you what we're working on right now. We got the cantilevers done and welded up and ready to go, but waiting on the front axle to be done. So can't really get our cantilevers placed, can't get our, our hydraulic cylinders. We can't get those placed or anything until we get this axle done. My brother cut out a test piece yesterday. He's bringing it down today. We're just going to test it. It's just cut out of like some 16 gauge steel or something. Before we go and cut it out of the stainless, we want to make sure it's going to work. It's what we want. Everything lines up right, whatever. But, so we got to find something to do in the meantime. So I'm starting on these headers. Very tedious process here. They're small, they're tiny, they're hardly going anywhere. But either way, just trying to fit headers up is a job. I mean, it's not simple. As simple as they look when they're done, they're not simple to build. So, I don't have a blueprint or anything like that. I don't have nothing bending them out for me. So basically what we do is we get, these U-bends and stuff. So stainless steel U-bends, just some 45s, some 90s. So I kind of just buy a box of random, lots of U-bends. We tend to use those a lot. But so we'll take those U-bends and we'll cut these things, in halves, in quarters, and halves, wherever we need, to make our bends. If we need a certain bend, we got to cut them out of that U-bend and pie cut them and make them all fit together, take them all up. Big job doing headers. So I'm kind of fitting stuff right now. I just got the front header mounted, and I'll show you. This is basically where the turbo is going to sit. So this flange right here is where our tubes will all go into. So right now, basically that's going to be our front tube, somewhere right around there is where that's going to be for that tube. Then the back one, we'll do it exactly the same way. We made sure we evenly spaced everything. So this one will come in here. We'll cut the rear one exactly the same as the front one, so it'll match. And then when we get to these two centers, they should be able to be cut the same exact way and match. So, the plate, I'm having to kind of fit that, by hand and stuff, making sure all these tubes fit in their correct direction. But that's where the turbo is going to sit. Let me see. So the turbo is going to be right here. Kind of hard to do with one hand here, but basically it's going to sit right there. So, but first things first, and we have to get all the tubes in that one flange. So they have to be perfect. There's not a whole lot of room for error here because they've got to be welded up. So they got to fit really nice, and can't have no gaps in the tubing because you go to TIG them, you're just going to burn a hole in it. So I don't know. We're gonna start fitting these things, and it's time consuming. So we're not going to record all of that because this is going to be hours. Probably what I'll do is a little bit of high speed here and there, so you can kind of see it come together. But I'm not going to record it all, even on high speed. It's going to take forever. It's probably going to be at least a couple days, I would imagine. Day and a half, 2 days just fitting these up. And I'm no professional at fitting this stuff up, so it takes me a little longer. They make those little adapters or whatever, the plastic couplers where you can make your own exhaust, and then the bends, you can take it apart and then then make your bends in steel. But man, those things are expensive. Like, they're cool, but dang, man, they got a pretty good price tag on those. And honestly, I don't make enough headers to buy that. I can't justify buying those. If I made headers for every vehicle I built, then yeah, I'd probably buy a set because they would make it really nice. But I don't. This one here, and honestly, I don't know when the next one I'll have to make a set of headers for. Typically we could use a normal set of headers or a set of shorties or turbo headers or whatever, but just this vehicle, I don't want the turbos way up front. I want them right here. I know exactly where I want them because I know where I want them to dump. So this is what we're doing. But I'll Yeah, like I said, I'll do a little bit of high speed on this. We're not going to record it all because you're going to get bored real quick. So um, we'll get some high speed going here and show you it as it progresses. We'll show you. We'll stop and show you every once in a while, but you know it's going to be a while. There's a lot of running back and forth to the bandsaw, you know, to the belt sander and stuff, because we got to belt sand everything level. You know, make sure it's smooth, make sure they butt together perfect. So there's just a lot of back and forth running. Honestly, I probably should have moved the table over closer to the belt sander and the saw, you know what I mean, the band saw. So I don't know, is what it is. So we got a lot of running today. We'll probably put some serious steps in, but anyway, I'm going to get on it. We need to get this thing done. Pretty soon the axle will be here, and then I'll be back on the front suspension, but exhaust time right now. So here we go. All right, guys. So getting along on this header pretty good here. Um, you know, I pulled the flange and stuff off the engine. I marked where I needed it, did my measurements and stuff on that, and then I'm just kind of mocked it up on the table, so it's easier to get to, and also I'm closer to the belt sander and the and the saw and stuff. So I don't know. I'm getting there, but you know, like I said, this stuff's always a pain in the butt. It's really rough fitting this stuff up. So I'll give you a look here real quick. You know, got a couple tubes in and show you where we're at. So this is where we're at for now. So this flange is just a mock-up flange. This isn't the flange we're using. This is just a mock-up flange, so I can kind of get everything straightened up. My new flanges should be here tomorrow, I think. So I just want to mock up with this flange, and then when the new ones come, we just got little tack welds on them. We'll knock them tacks off there, and it should go right in the new flange, which, you know, might need a little pushing and pulling around because I'm sure it'll try to warp a little bit when we weld it. But anyway, this is where we're at. You know, this one's just sitting here right now. These two are actually tacked in place, but that's kind of the idea. You know, we're going. It's rough because you got to clear this in such a short distance. That's what's really makes it hard. It's a really short distance between here and here, and you got to clear all these tubes. So we're just able to do it. This is, you know, this is fitting up nicely. Kind of hard to do with one hand, but it does. It fits nice and flush. And so then we're going to do the one for this side. It should have, you know, pretty close to exactly the same bends as that. And you know, nothing crazy, nothing fancy, but you know, this is where I wanted the turbos at. So if I wanted the turbos in the location where I think looks the best, then we have to make headers for it. You know, because nobody makes a header like this. If they did, I'd just buy it. It would say, I probably got more money in these headers than I could have bought them for, because my turbo headers, I think I have, they're just cheap turbo headers. And you know, they don't need to flow real good. Turbo headers, you know, you're not relying on the long tube header to pull the gases out of the engine stuff. When you start boosting these things, the header's not as critical. So I could have had that cheap header for a couple $100, but now the way I'm going with all the stainless I have in this thing, I'll probably have $400 or $500 in material just in doing these little tiny stupid headers. So it adds up. It adds up really quick. When you start buying them stainless U-bends, and there's all 304, I wanted good stuff. It adds up. It gets expensive. So, but you know, if that's what you want, then you're gonna have to pay the price. So that's what we're doing. So I'm gonna keep going on this thing and maybe try to get this one completely mocked up today, and maybe I can finish the other one tomorrow. Now that I know what bends and what it's gonna take after the first one, because the second one's gonna be exactly the same, the other side, but you know, just be flipped up. Should work really well. So I'm gonna get back on this thing.